Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Sam Speaks Straight, and in this episode we are speaking straight about, once again, COVID. Last time we did this we watched the Sky News vaccination. Now we're watching the pupil's life, how hard it is to be a student during this pandemic. If you haven't already, please like, comment and subscribe. I always forget to mention this. And do check out the website, www.samspeakstraight.com. It's just www.samspeakstraight.com. At Sam Speak Straight is all of my socials. Before I make more of a tit of myself, let's just get into it.
The season to be merry is upon us, but before we've even hit the peak of festivities, COVID rates in London and the South East are now the highest in England. With most cases amongst 11 to 18-year-olds, the Health Secretary this evening announced an emergency targeted testing programme for secondary schools.
We've decided to put in place an immediate plan for testing all secondary school-age children in the 7 worst affected boroughs of London, in parts of Essex that border London, and parts of Kent.
But head teachers in hard-hit areas say it's too little, too late, and England should follow Wales in closing schools and moving learning online.
Kids have been saying this for fucking ages, you know. I can't think of anyone that said going back to school is a good idea, other than the politicians. And they weren't even given free school lunches.
We should be closing secondary schools on Monday.
This is the most Piers Brodsman, or whatever his name is, looking ass motherfucker that I have ever seen in my life. And where I've paused it literally looks like someone's just stuck their finger up his ass.
All but the most vulnerable and the key workers, and moving the teaching online to remote learning for the remainder of the term. And then
Piers Morgan, not Piers Brodsman. Piers Brosnan was James Bond.
Then going for a mass rollout of testing in January.
Rising cases also raise questions about London and the South East's Tier 2 status. When Manchester went into Tier 3, it had 170 cases per 100,000 people. Newcastle had 115. Birmingham was at 191. Now, the average across London stands at 191 cases per 100,000, with a third of boroughs in excess of 200 cases.
In a normal year, you have Christmas where you have loads and loads of mixing, often with 2 sets of family, minimum. Then you have a week off and then you mix with different people in New Year. And then a few days after that, you go back to school, university, or work. So that's kind of 3 potentially super spreading events all happening together. I mean, there will be increases, but whether we can stop it becoming a third wave, I mean, that's down to us, really.
Is it not inevitable that we're going to see a dangerous third wave in cases? Shouldn't we act sooner rather than wait till next week to make a decision on further restrictions?
And a third wave is not inevitable, but it is the way that we prevent it is by everybody, all of us, coming together and actually deciding we want to try and stick to the guidance that's there, and accept that Christmas is a period when we can do things. That's the reason why the rules have been relaxed. That doesn't mean we should do things.
It's like you can go out and have fun and see your family, but we recommend you don't, because otherwise we're going to have to put you all back in home jail.
With a vaccine around the corner, it's easy to think we can drop our guard. But the story of Adela Baldwin-White says otherwise.
So full of life, which makes it harder to take this in.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
A mental health nurse from Grimsby. She died of COVID-19 5 days before the vaccine rollout.
If you saw and felt what we've just gone through, you wouldn't be bending the rules. You would be sticking to them.
Right, look, I know it's sad, but I'm sure if you ate a little bit healthier, then they wouldn't have as much of a problem. I bet you they're both big cigarette smokers and they eat takeaway every other fucking day.
Perhaps this Christmas, the best gift we can give is space and the promise things will be better next year.
You can't promise anything like that. God, I hate ITV. I hate the news. Why do I do this to myself? So, that was ITV News's update on COVID. When did this come out? Let me just find out for you. Close that. Titty sprinkles. This came out on the 10th of December, so last Thursday, because it's now the 14th. I am very uncertain about this whole vaccine because I've done a lot of research into the MHRA, which is the Medicine and Health Regulation Authority, and it takes around 10 to 15 years to get a medication approved. I understand that it's a pandemic and that they're trying to do everything they can, trying to do everything that they can to make life better for us, but you know, if they really wanted to do that, they'd give kids free school meals, and it's just stuff like that. But this vaccine hasn't been tested enough. You know, it's been tested on 44,000 people. That's 44,000 people that said, yeah, I'll do it. But they only tested it for 6 months. When regulations state that you need to have 2-3 years of phase 2 testing after the initial 6-month phase 1, and then you go into a further 5-year phase 3. So yeah, and it's really confusing as well because everything that I was hearing from our news was that, oh yeah, America's going to have one, we're at the bottom of the list, and now we're the first ones to have a vaccine. So I don't understand. It just doesn't sit right with me. You know, I mentioned it in the last video, you can be infertile for like 2 months if you get this vaccine. So what's stopping that from just being full stop? For some people, you know, 6 out of every 1,000 people have an allergic reaction, but 5 in every 1,000 had an allergic reaction to the placebo. Because as far as I'm aware, they did a double-blind placebo-controlled trial with 40,000 people, but it wasn't anywhere near long enough. I could go on about this for days, but I need to keep my YouTube videos short at the moment because my internet won't let me upload anything over 5 gig. Without taking like a week. So stay safe, do what you're gonna do, eat healthy. I'll try and add some links to some nutrition pages that have been proven to help support the immune system through the vaccine. Definitely keep up on your vitamin E, D and C. I've got my vitamin C, D. You can get vitamin C, D juices from most Polish shops. Definitely worth it. Right, stay safe, stay healthy, catch you in a bizzle.
Say no to the vaccine!